Hey, it's Elaine, and today we're showing our third episode of Show and Tell. Our special guests are...
Hey everybody, it's Jenny and Luke, and we are going to show you guys how to make a Dutch apple pie. Okay, and we're going to start with our...
Part 1 is making the crust of it.
Part 1 is making the crust. Great job. So we're going to show you how to make the crust first. We use Betty Crocker's pie crust, which you just add water, and it tastes like crust. So Luke, can you pour this in the bowl? Thank you. Okay. And you put a 1/3 cup of cold water and you mix it up until it becomes really doughy. So now we have our dough into a ball and it's all adhered together.
Pull this out and then roll and put it on there and then roll it with the rolling pin.
Absolutely, that's right. So we're gonna take the wax paper out and we're gonna press it down onto that wet surface. Good, perfect. So now we're gonna put our dough right on the floured surface. And just like Luke said, we're gonna take our rolling pin and we're gonna roll it out. And as the rolling pin gets the dough on it, we're gonna put some flour on the rolling pin to help it not stick. Once we get it to the size we need, we're gonna put it in the pie pan and we'll show you what's next. So now what we're gonna do is, Luke, we're gonna fold this so that we can get it in the pie pan. And one trick is you take your wax paper, go ahead and hold it, and we're gonna carry it over. Good, keep walking it over, walk it, walk it, walk it, walk it, walk it. Fold it in half, and then we're gonna pull that wax paper back. Pull it back, good. We're gonna take this side and we're gonna fold it in half one more time.
Or like karate chop?
Kind of like karate chopping. And then pull the wax paper off. Good. And now we're gonna pick up this pie crust and we're gonna lay it in the pan and we're just gonna unfold it. And then Luke, go ahead and push the pie, the dough, into the corners of the circle. So with your fingers, take your fingers and push and try to get as many air bubbles out as you can. You pinch the dough with your thumb and your pointer finger and it kind of makes a pretty little crust. And we're gonna cook our crust for about 10 minutes, just so the bottom gets a little lightly cooked, because once we put the apples in there, it just is harder for the crust to cook. So that's our crust. So real quick, I'm going to show you guys how to make the Dutch topping. Now this is what I think makes the apple pie the best. So you do a stick of butter, 3/4 cup of flour, and 3/4 cup of sugar, just granulated sugar. And your butter should be somewhat soft, but not super soft. And you're like going to peel the butter and then mix it in with the flour and sugar, and it's going to become like a crumbly topping. We have an additional helper, and this is Shannon. And how many red apples did we have?
Well, 3.
3. And how many green apples do we have?
3.
We always put 3 Granny Smith and 3 Red Delicious. That's what makes this apple pie just perfect. So we peel the apples and we cut them in half and we're gonna decore them. And then we're gonna slice them into apple slices like this. So our next step is to put the cinnamon and sugar in the apples and mix it up really good. So Shannon, how many tablespoons do we have of cinnamon?
2.
Go ahead and pour it in the bowl of the apples. Yeah. And Luke, how much sugar do we have?
The whole entire thing.
We have 1/2 cup of sugar. We're using Truvia Complete, which is no conversion. And we're gonna stir it up really well. Sometimes, depending on how big your apples were, you may have to add a little bit more sugar or a little bit more cinnamon.
More sugar.
But we get to taste test them, and that's the fun part. Okay, so we've got our apples all mixed up. We're gonna take our pie crust, which turned out great. Remember, we baked it for just 10 minutes to get the bottom of the shell nice and cooked.
I want to have a bite of it.
No, wait. We're gonna pour the apples inside the shell. And so one thing about apples is when they bake, they shrink. So if you get a really high pile of apples on top of your pie, that's okay, because it's gonna shrink down. We're gonna take, this was our Dutch topping. Once we finish baking the pie shell, we turn our oven down to 325 And we're gonna bake our apple pie for 25 to 30 minutes on a lower temperature. And this topping with the butter, sugar, and flour makes the best Dutch topping. So I'm gonna put it on a cookie sheet and put it in the oven for about 25 minutes.
Well,
And we'll show you the finished product in just a minute.
For 25? So long?
There we go.
All right, so this is our finished product. What I ended up doing, because every oven cooks differently, and this was the first time making an apple pie in this particular oven, I kept it in at 325 for an extra 10 minutes and then turned the oven up to 350 for 10 more minutes. So there you go. That's how you make a Dutch apple pie.